All right. What's up, studs? Studettes, what's going on in the hood? Everybody good? Everybody saucy? Everybody a little juicy this morning or what? Let's go do the Lord's work. Let's go do the Lord's work. Mr. Truman, you got that watch list together or what? Let me see this bad boy. Let me see what you got here. Hey, this is not my thing. I would probably leave this one alone. It's just flatlined around this point of time. You don't got any range on that one. You're going to need something a little bit hotter. Snapchat. So this one is going to be too extended, right? So you got like 10 days in a row up. Like that's not going to be anything tight. This one, a grinder into resistance. No ATR on this one, right? Just a dollar ATR. Doesn't move enough. This one you can try. If it comes out of this range, give it a whirl. That's an earnings breakout. So usually those kind of stocks do work pretty good. Mara, this will have some range on it too. Car, I got it. Watch this range break over here. That's a good solid list. I would take off the IWPT, the Snap, the TXG, and leave these other ones. Like this is nice too. Good. Hey, good morning, guys. Let's just go through a couple people's watch list. Happy happy thing. Hey, I always forget that this thing starts at 7:45. I'm usually just ticking around my computer too. Let's go do this thing. All right. Everybody good? Everybody saucy? We got the CPI out. I did not see anything that looked like a surprise. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look here. CPI report length, blah, blah, blah. There's probably, doesn't look like it's a nothing burger at this point. What I mean by nothing burger is there's no surprise, right? So usually the markets will move if you have a surprise, right? So if you kind of go through this, right, it's like 3.1, 2.9, the expectation was 3.1. So when you have an expectation, and you're basically just at the expectation, then it's like you don't really get that much movement. You're just kind of going to go through your general market fluctuations. Still seems high, but what do I know, right? What do I know? Still seems high, but what do I know? So at this point, we've got a small dip on the QQQs here, from the morning pop. We'll see how this goes. Like this, we are kind of on day 4 of a move here. We're at the top of the Bollinger Band on the QQQs. So we do have a very bullish chart, but, we can pull back a little bit just to relieve the tension. You can see we're at let's go over here. We are at a, right, 92 stochastics on the QQQ. So we are a little bit extended on just a short-term 5-day basis. And so that's something we'll have to kind of keep into the back of your mind. We've got a spot here where we may have to pull back just a tad, but overall, the overall structure of the market is very bullish. We don't have anything yet that says, right, the market's got to roll over. And that's always the thing to kind of be mindful of. Like when you look at markets, you got to really always think like, all right, do we have anything that says like, hey, this is the end of the road, right? So we haven't seen anything in the price action that would tell us that we're going to have some big, nasty, sharp pullback. Can it happen? Of course. And a lot of times they just kind of happen when they're supposed to happen. But at the moment, we don't have anything like that. So, I think a flat open is fine. We may pull, we may go. We'll make lists for both, and we'll see which way the market opens. Let's take a look at the gappers, and we're going to go, back through this. I wouldn't read too much into this CPI report. The biggest mistake traders can often do is think that they know how to read, right? If you think about the average person in America, like what we're up to most of our days, right? It's like we don't read so good no more, right? So like, now everybody's an armchair, so, armchair CPI specialist. 2 years ago, everybody was an armchair COVID specialist. And right, there ain't no doctors in this country anymore. We got TikTokers, we got influencers, and we got hot 6'2" Indian guys that should be computer programmers doing YouTube videos on day trading. That's the state of this country, right? The people that should be doctors are doing YouTubers, and the YouTubers are doing TikTokers, and the TikTokers are doing God knows what. That's just the way it goes. So don't read too much into this stuff. Let's take a look at the earnings plays. We'll let the price action dictate what we got to do, which is often the do. All right. So you got ADTX here. You got a PR out on this bad boy. Hey, this is a pump and dump stock. If you're into it, look at this thing. This is a one-day move here, right? So you got boom, 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 right? This thing popped up $50 this day. This day it popped up $40, and this is with some splits. So you've got a big low float on this one. It's probably less than 1 million shares. You already got 4 million shares of volume. Hey, if you guys like a little alternative lifestyle, he, she's, thems, we's, then ADTX could be your flavor, because this is going to get wild, right? This one's going to get wild. Now, once again, this is not my tour de jour, not my cup of tea. I'm a coffee man myself, El Natural. I can't personally do it, but I could understand why some of you other guys would be into it. Add it. If you like small caps, you add it. That's the nature of this beast over here, right? This is a bio. AstraZeneca to acquire ICO SVAX for 1.1 billion. Yo, I don't know if this is anything because it's a buyout, so there's not much you can do on it. It's already been bought out. Oh, go to. You guys remember this thing used to be all $200 here. Oh, go-to's got something. This might be earnings out today. What do you think? Not my particular flavor here because it's not going to have any ATR, but it does have, it's got a little juice. It's got a little juice. What you think? Yeah, not my flavor. It's got 25-cent ATR. It probably already popped up 25 cents. I pass. And Chinese stocks stink to trade. So let's just get out of that. Natural gas is starting to get very volatile, guys. I don't like trading commodities at all. Well, you are getting a lot of range in, this UNG. You could trade this boil. It's going to have pretty good range. So you can see here, like this thing, $23 goes to 28 all the way back. Man, I hate trading natural gas. Fuck that shit. Take it back. I take it back. Yo, the old Fubo's popping up a little bit here. I don't see a PR on this bad boy. Let me look it up here real quick. I think we got to upgrade. Overweight by Cantor. Don't know who Cantor is. Let me tell you something. If you do like, I don't consider this like a small cap, like a low flow pump and dump. It's more just like a stock that used to be really high and now it's not. At some point, this thing's going to break this kind of 380, 370 zone. And probably you're going to see, right, some good cheese on this. I would set some alerts on this. Like if it starts to ever get speed up, do about 350. If it starts to speed up, that's where you want to start trading something like this, right? If it speeds up, it's got a lot of upside to it. There's not that many stocks left on the bottom. I'd keep a look on this one. Well, I gotta switch hats. Fuck this. little self-conscious because I'm wearing double logos here, right? So, gotta get the old Bulls patch hat on. That Bulls patch hat. These are the Tour de Jeu. Old Bulls patch hat. Can't go double logos, right? Not for YouTube. BYND. Yo. I think this one might have had an upgrade too. Let me see. BYND. No, I didn't see anything on this bad boy. Armando, you see anything? Hey, this is a nice flag pattern right here. I think this has got upside. You got a squeeze potential in this. If you like small cap type of names, this is a better type of name to trade. Like you're going to have still really good range. You're going to have really good range. You're going to have good liquidity. This is like, it doesn't move around too crazy. Like you can roll with this bad boy. Junk. Oh, hold on here. Wow, Pfizer issued as a buyout. All right, so not much on the PR side of things today, is there? That's okay. That's okay, Mike. Yeah, that'll happen sometimes. Now let's take a look on the downside because my one worry with today is this Oracle's had some nasty little earnings out today, right? This is a big tech bellwether, $300 billion company. You're down 10%. Now, normally these gap downs have been getting bought up, right? Like Lulu, right? The gap down on the bottom, it got bought up that day. But these are much lower float stocks. You know, like see this docu, this was a gap down this particular day. And it completely reversed. So what traders are essentially doing is taking this weakness, right, on the bad earnings and saying, well, the earnings may stink, but the market's turning. So the earnings will turn. We'll use this weakness as a way to add the name cheaper. And so all of a sudden, these kind of bad earnings plays are getting bought up. And you know, I normally would think, you know, something so like Oracle, I normally would put that kind of in play for that, but it's a much thicker stock, right? I haven't seen anything. See, the float on this is 2 billion shares. I haven't seen anything this thick since I looked down when I'm taking a pee, if you know what I mean, right? Like that's the last time I see something so thick. So I don't know this one. I don't know if this one comes in on the bounce like that. I'll keep an eye on that, but I'd be surprised. I'll watch and see if it sets up. But eh. Hey, for Matt. For America, baby. For America. All right, UNG. Junk. Airbnb downgrade. Downgrade by Barclays. And pass. Yeah, I'm going to take a look at that in a hot second. All right, so not much going on that side. So let's get into the actual watch list then, the one I made from yesterday, because there's some good gems on this thing, all right? So let's just kind of go from order of importance, or we can flip through this thing in any particular way. Bottoming names. So I want to put these in buckets, all right? So we're going to keep notes on these things. These are bottoming play. So like apps, this is a bottoming play. We're looking, you know, I want 3 buckets. The stocks that are cheap, that are rounding, right? Essentially making some type of bottom. So I've got, for those of you guys that like these little guys, right? You got apps. You've got Joby testing resistance. These are buckets, right? So these are like your small cap bombers. Testing resistance. You're right at the spot. 670. I probably won't play any of these, but I add them for you because I'm a benevolent dictator. There's so few of us, right? And then I got this ACHR, all right? Test and resistance. So those are kind of the three bottomings, all right? Then we've got flag patterns, all right? So after the bottoming plays, you want to go flag pattern. Flag pattern just means like anything that's at about a 20% or close to 20% pop, 3 to 10 day sideways consolidation. Once you get longer than 10 days in consolidation, you actually morph into a different pattern that takes months to congeal. Momentum begets momentum in trading. When you have a pop on a stock, if you don't make that secondary move in 3 to 10 days, what ends up happening is you flatten out and you start turning into a different pattern. And those patterns can often take months to start to congeal. You start turning into like a wedge pattern or some other type of descending triangle pattern, or you need a deeper pullback. So it starts to morph into something new. So we have these flag patterns. They take 3 to 10 days, and they can go like 12 days, you know, so on and so forth. But you want to really be mindful. So you have an easy location, right, on CBNA. It's right here, right? There's no fluff on this one, right? You've got a level. It's a show and go, right? So a flag pattern. Roku, look how tight this is. So you get a big breakout here. Test, 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 test over this 100 spot. The day that it broke over 100, if you guys remember, there was a piece of news out. It was like a big upgrade, and it took off running. Okay. It's an upgrade from like a no-name shop Cannonball, right? But it took it out of the range. Then after that, it's just been congealing here. Let me kind of change the width here a little bit, right? Now you've just been congealing here, testing and testing and testing. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. So basically, this thing's got to go in the next couple days. Otherwise, it's going to probably morph into something a little bit different, all right? So I suspect they're going to make, if the market can hold up today, this thing, you know, has a chance. You got Flaggy McGee's, right, on Roku, on CVNA. This is going to be a slower one, right? This one's thick. It's same type of deal. It doesn't have the range that like a Roku would have or CVNA would have. You'd have to do this one with some calls. If this one busts through, what day is it? Tuesday? I'd probably try the 60s. Yeah, they might even have something a little bit lower. Hold on here. Yeah, I'd try to do the 60s. You can see the range on them is okay. Like when it goes 50 to 75. Yeah, you know what? That actually is going to open up okay. You can do the calls on this. If this starts to bust through or looks like it's gonna, you go 60 calls. If it breaks 60 and say you even get to 61, 62, I mean, you're probably going to make a double, maybe even a triple on the thing, and it ain't going to have to move much on those calls. So we'll hit them with the best shot. So add that in. Oh, love my wife and raise my kids. Now, we had a flag pattern in ARM, and now we've had a rest day after that. So you broke this range. Now you got a rest day after that. Watch and see how this reacts. Yesterday I had a nasty little down day, but the pattern's not broken. All right, it just came back and retested into support. Now it's congealing. All right, you're just marinating there a little bit on the support. That's fine. After you get such a big range, right? You get 6, 7 points in a day. Oftentimes you got to rest. Stocks get their power from basing. They get their power from consolidation. Those periods of hibernation that allow it to build up steam. So now you're sitting there. If it can hold this and start curling its way back, man, we've got a good God-fearing Christian setup right there. That one looks pretty good. You guys get what I'm putting down? Now, let's talk about some bottoming plays. Let's talk about a little bottoming play. Old Chewy here It's starting to test its level of resistance, its breakout spot. You had the climactic earnings dump. The climactic earnings dump, that's the setup that's been working, right? You get like the last bit of volume, that last bit of sell volume leave, and now you're starting to rebound your way back through. I think you got a 21 magnet, but if it breaks over that 2120, 2150, I mean, you're going to have yourself broskies. You're going to have yourself some good chatters right there. Some good chatters. Man, that thing looks nice right there. All right. Bottoming pattern on Shake Shack. Man, this thing used to be a couple $100, right? You had a nice pop on this thing, 9% yesterday. Chief executive to retire in 2024. They reiterated guidance, right? So essentially they're saying, hey, we got to be making some quesos. You got right breakout, pullback. You get all this kind of fun stuff that's been happening on this bad boy. Man, that's a good look right there. That's a good look over here. So you got basically a flat open on this. I think you got a chance of this. My worry on this one is, and I do this all the time, is the liquidity stinks. But often in bull markets, like when the market gets hot like this, it's not the big time liquid plays like Tesla that does the 100 million shares a day. That's the clean traders. Sometimes stocks can do so much volume that they're just full of algos and wicks and chop and all of this stuff. It's often in these more mid volume, mid cap type of names where the floats are a little bit lower, the liquidity is a little bit lighter, that you get more clean and linear plays. When the liquidity is in the 100, 200 million shares per day range, it's algo city, it's HFT city, it's programs, sell buy programs, sell programs at key levels, at Fibonacci's. There's all these other booby traps that you're dealing with. It's just landmines nonstop, right? Like when you trade NVIDIA, right? It's like landmines nonstop. When you trade something like this, there ain't no HFTs in Shake Shack, right? There ain't probably no algos in this thing, and it's going to do enough liquidity. So always got to think, and they'll have more range a little bit too. So always got to think it's fun to trade Tesla and NVIDIA just because it's like everybody's talking about it. And so we get it in our heads that we have to trade it. But that's not necessarily like where the best profits are, So just something to kind of keep in the back of your head. I'm victim of this of myself, where it's like sometimes you just get so focused on a couple names because it's just that's what's out there in the universe, right? Everybody's like, hey, NVIDIA AI chips. But that fucking stock sucks the trade. It really does. There's something to be mindful of as you go through this. Add something like a little Shake Shack in. Let me tell you something. This Penn had a nice little popper yesterday, right? You had an ORB of all this kind of stuff going on. Dude, that's a good looking stock right there. That's a good looking stock right there. Dude, you got range breaks setting up right there. Like you got probably some shorts in this thing, right? This specific market cap has been working really, really well too. Yeah, I like it. Add this bad boy. We got a good spot on this one. Hey, net looks very, very similar to Roku. You had the breakout. Now you're congealing right over this breakout spot. I'm thinking 79-ish probably gets this thing juicy. I'm going to add a couple more. These are your earnings flags, all right? So this is your last bucket. So you got path here, right? Breakout, consolidation, a little bit of a grinder. If you don't want to sit in a stock for like hours, then don't trade this one. The ATR per 5-minute candle. So you have different ATRs that we track. You have ATR itself, ATR's average true range. That measures how much a stock moves on a 1-day basis. Then you have the ATR percentage. That's just telling you, like, on a percentage basis how much a stock moves up and down, right? So it's just the ATR divided by the price of stock, right? Basic math. Then you have the ATR 5-minute, right? So this is like if you're a day trader, right? Now you have an expectation of what it can move in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If you're scalping and you're hoping for some big scalp, but the stock moves 5 cents per 5 minutes, right? You're probably not going to get that. So you have to, it'll help you with some reasonable expectations of where a stock can go in short periods of time. If you look at your trader view, your trading sync, and you start to measure how long you hold particular names. I hold stocks for 15 minutes. I hold stocks for 30 minutes. I hold stocks for 5 minutes, right? The ATR 5 minutes is going to give you an idea. If your hold times are XYZ, well, how much potential can you move around in XYZ? That becomes very important to have reasonable expectations. If you think you're going to rip 10% on a stock that moves 5 pennies, that's not going to happen. Japath it's a good setup. It's a trender grinder. IoT, this one may move around a little bit more. See, it's got a 20-cent ATR, so double. So it's the same price as Path, same float as Path, right? Same float as Path, same price as Path. But sometimes two stocks, they have the similar characteristics. 492 million share float, 429 million share float. Sometimes stocks can have the same market cap, right? 14 billion, 429. You get the same market cap, the same float. Right? One can trade around drastically different. Like, see the runs on this up and down. One can trade drastically different than the other one. So you got double the ATR. This is 20-cent ATR per 5 minute. The other one is 10. I'm getting geeked out over here, but just be mindful. That's just how my brain works. You got a flat top breakout, pull back to the 9. This thing is ready to party, I think. That one's got a good look to it. That's the list I'm sticking to it. We got some secondary plays here on Rivian. I got alerts set on these things. They may be dead. I think Snow also probably needs like an inside day. What are we missing? Tobias, what's up, baby? Let me see this thing. ADTX. Dude, you can play this. This is just going to be, you got to remember this is a pump and dump stock, right? See this? It gets pumped and then it dumps. It gets pumped and it's dumped. As long as you're in early and not last, you got a chance, right? On these kind of names. But if you're last, then you're screwed. So just, you got to always just keep that in mind. Just have reasonable expectations when you're doing this and always trade them small. Hey, you could have $50,000 in your account, but doesn't mean you put $50,000 into it. You might put 5 or 10, right? And you're kind of scalping around with something like that. You don't go in anything bigger than that. Honestly, I don't know about this one just because you would need somebody to pump it, basically, right? You got to, that's, these things only move on one thing. PRs and really shady Discord rooms with guys with very suspect avatars, right? You got to be a little bit careful on this one. L7, I do like the PayPal. Faux show. Faux show. It's possible, Samka, we get maybe a sell the news kind of thing today. We just don't know. UPST, Affirm. I think both those need to congeal. But I do like PDD. I just don't like the way this thing moves. Like, it just always, anytime it gaps on me, it moves weird. But it does really well on red to greens. It's always done well on red to greens, PDD, but never moves well on gaps. So I got this hidden away somewhere. It's not my huge priority just because I suck at Chinese stocks. I used to be so good at them, but they just don't have the juice of recent. But this is a hot setup, Luke. No getting around it. That's, I would consider that an A- setup. It's a buenos, my friend. It is a buenos. Hey, take it easy a little bit today at the open, guys. We don't have a surefire like, hey, the market's a long, the market's a short kind of thing going today. We've got more. I think we got more things we got to dance around a little bit today. So just kind of be mindful. There's not that many good earnings plays, right? There's not a lot of stuff going. We've got a lot of good setups here. We just don't have a lot of good like earnings plays and stuff like that. So we'll have to just be a little bit, we gotta be a little bit careful. Let's watch this AMD. Maybe we dip down. If we dip down hard on AMD, I think that could be a good God-fearing setup. Maybe 130, 131. Yeah, I think CVNA's got a chance. Old CVNA got a chance, but you really need a hot market. CVNA is a big turn. It's a big turn, so you got to be a little bit careful. But I guess a big pull on this would be nice. Right, Nvidia's dumping off 2 minutes, really retesting this 15-day moving average a lot. The more times you test this 50-day moving average, the more likely it is that you break down, right? But it is defending it. When you get a stock like Nvidia that's like a culty stock, it's not easy to break down those supports. Like they come in and defend that bad boy. Old James Wyatt, baby. Yes, we got rebalancing. We've got OPEX week, so there's going to be all sorts of fluctuations, fugazis happening. Let me check gold. Yeah, I'd wait till gold comes back in the MAs here. It's a failed breakout at this point. All right, let's do this, guys. We got a lot of stuff going on today. Let's have some fun. Hello. Let's go do what we do, which is the do-do. Oh, shit, my TC2000 froze. Hold on, I got to restart this TC2000. You know how it is. Old TC2000 likes to. Now it's back. Hold on here, bros. Broskies. All right, the IWM's pulling back pretty a little bit here. The Qs are holding up. We see what's going on. Somebody's pushing CVNA. We're pushing that old CVNA. CVNA. Whoa, 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 bastards. AMD's rolling up too. Let's see if we hold here. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Indy, I think 3150 is a good spot. PayPal's holding, the Shack's holding, AMT's holding. Saba going. Yeah, theoretically, yeah, I did have an inside day yesterday, but it's a turd. UPST, big push, guys. All right, so we're getting a little run in payments. All right, you got UPST, you got a firm. Saba read the grid. Hey, arms pushing a little bit. Yeah, let's stay out of this open a little bit. Let things congeal, and then we're going to get a nice spot. We don't want to step in front of anything. All right, Saba pushing through.